your mind now. Be part of People's Pan-African Parliament, the Pan-African Pyramid Debate with your speaker, Andrew Irumba Katusa.
A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard. Welcome to another edition of the Pan-African Pyramid Show that happens here every Friday from 5 to 8 p.m. at Fairway Hotel in Kampala. This show is live at Fairway Hotel in Kampala every Friday from 5 to 8 p.m. and the entrance is absolutely free. A recorded version runs on NBS Television, our partner sponsor, on Saturday from 4 to 5 p.m. My name is Andrew Irumba, your speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, this week we are looking at the implications of Uganda's unilateral eviction from AGOA, the USA. We want to give it a Pan-African perspective. And here we go. Last month, US President Joe Biden announced the removal of Uganda along with 3 other African countries, including the Central African Republic, Gabon, and Niger, from the African Growth and Opportunity Act, call it AGOA, which grants exports from qualifying countries in sub-Saharan Africa duty-free access to the US market. The United States explained that the decision to exclude Uganda was due to the implementation of an anti-LGBT, call it anti-homosexuality law, which was deemed a serious violation of internationally recognized human rights. Biden's letter conveyed to the Speaker of the US House of Representatives further added that despite intensive engagement between the United States and the Central African Republic, Gabon, Niger, and Uganda, the above countries have actually failed to address United States concerns about their non-compliance with the AGOA eligibility criteria. According to United States government data, the United States exchanged goods with Uganda, exporting products worth $167 US and importing commodities valued at approximately $174 million US. AGOA was launched in 2000 and has been a vital component of this trade relationship, offering qualifying countries duty-free access to the US market. Ladies and gentlemen, President Museveni this week, while responding to Biden's family, emphasized that it is a misperception for some foreign entities. I'm sure he's meaning America. It is a misperception for some foreign entities to assume that Africa's advancement hinges solely on their support. It is a misperception. Certainly, as far as Uganda is concerned in particular, we have the capacity to achieve our growth and transformation targets, even if some of these actors do not support us. Museveni said. Now, it should be remembered that on August 25, 2023, President Museveni banned the importation of second-hand clothes from Europe and America. And in March 2018, America temporarily banned Rwanda from AGOA after Rwanda banned second-hand clothes from the same. Now, here we ask, is America's ban about human rights violations, or it's about economic interests, whose slogan is America First? We want to have a debate on that. Is it about the violation of human rights, or it's about the interests of America? America has boldly told you that America first. In everything you do on this planet Earth, whichever part of the world you are, you must always take care of America's interests first. If you are a country called Uganda and America has interest in Uganda, their interests supersede yours, please. Know that. Because they are the first world, we are allegedly the third world.
Free your mind now. Be part of People's Pan-African Parliament.
Obwana Speaker, I want to thank you very much for hosting me. While looking at AGOA, I'm going to talk about AGOA. Just basic research tells me, and you can, some of this actually is basically Google stuff, that intra-Africa trade, guys, intra-Africa trade is at, is it 15%? Merely 15, just under 15% in fact. meaning trade amongst Africans accounts for 15% of our trade.
So it means 75% is outside Africa.
In fact,
is trade between Africa and the rest of the world.
85% is between Africa and the rest of the world. And we boast that we are Africans. And we boast African integration. We boast Pan-Africanism. So food for thought. So as I said, I'll just have an informal conversation. And yet, on the other hand, we are going to talk about AGOA. Manufacturing on this continent accounts to about 1%, 1.5%, meaning under 2% of global figures coming from Africa. So you can see the disparities in our starting positions. It's huge.
Come again, what is that point you made? 1% is what?
We contribute less than 2% of global exports. I mean, global manufacturing.
Global manufacturing.
As a continent, yes. Of the world. So Africa contributes just under 2% of world trade when it comes to manufacturing.
But then isn't it also true that Africa has the biggest raw materials for that manufacturing?
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I don't want to be rude because you're usurping my word, because that's exactly where I'm going. because if you say we contribute 2%, we are the largest continent. I do better make the conversation actually. We are the largest continent. We are the richest continent. We are the biggest producers of many of these big stuff.
Raw materials.
Yes. But we contribute.
But finished products, we contribute only 2%.
2% global.
So they extract raw materials from here, about 90%, and then they go there and manufacture. But they say we contribute 2% in manufacturing.
Not they say, because that's the reality.
Yet we contributed 90% in raw materials.
Indeed. Food for thought. So young Africans, that's what I'm saying, I'll keep focusing on this case. You know, that is extraordinary. That is how bad it is. Now, these are the backgrounds. And that is why when Mr. Museveni says that the issue of African growth and being dismissive, he's actually telling lies to young Africans. You know, there are big issues, and particularly for African leaders who've been governing or ruling this continent for the last 20, 30, 40 years, and you cannot embed some of these very basic realities, then we've got issues. I'm saying, therefore, that when we come to AGOA, when AGOA came up, it was an exciting time. It was an exciting time because Museveni, Uganda, the region, particularly Mr. Museveni and Mr. Kagame were the darlings, you know, of the West. You know, Uganda quite rightly went, and it was okay because at the bottom line, it was an opportunity for us to manufacture, go and sell tariff-free, sell relatively cheaply, make sure that we get space and opportunities for export. Absolutely basic economics, sensible. What did we do as a country? How much did we seek to boost our manufacturing sector? How much did we seek to expand our manufacturing sector? How much did we seek to boost our skills? How much did we seek to boost our management skills? Because these are prerequisites for industrial growth and development. You know, how much did we deliberately inject from our exchequer annually, monies that, you know, moved us from exporting, you know, raw coffee to an expansion of a project in Ginger, opening up a particular industrial area in which where we're able to add value and make sure that, well, whatever we add value, instead of selling, you know, basic rice, you know, we're able to send very sophisticated Ugandan coffee. You talk about my presence in Europe and North America. Yes, our coffee is fantastic, but you know, so is some of the chocolate. You know, the chocolate that comes from Africa, you know, we do not determine the prices for those chocolates. Surely, since independence, and we've been singing about these things, and our leaders have been singing about these things, should we blame Joe Biden? Should we blame Joe Biden?
No.
No, Joe Biden is elected with the mandate of the peoples of the United States of America. And you know, in America, every month they do the job figures. Those of you who watch me elsewhere, they do the job figures. So they post, and presidents in the US are judged in terms of their performance on job figures. How many jobs have entered the market? And usually there are hundreds of thousands.
How many jobs have you created?
How many jobs have you created?
Yes, I
You know,
normally see Biden trying to.
and that is how you judge. In our Ugandan case, what is it? Back to this very particular one. Mr. Museveni suggests that we can basically dismiss AGOA. In 1988, there is a video doing the rounds, and it's important for us to pick these things. And in that video, Mr. Museveni was very impressive. He was suggesting that he does not understand why up to 1988, we are still begging the West to basically, and the West and the rest of the world, to get sleepers, meaning the rail lines, you know, to get these things manufactured from other countries. He promised that he was going to make sure that rail lines in future from 1988 onwards would be manufactured in Uganda. And he actually promised that as of 1998, he actually told us, and I don't want to say he told us a lot, he had already opened a farm, you know, a unit, yes, and led by the army, of course, led by the army in Kasese. What happened to that plan?
1988, this is 2023.
That's right.
I just saw him last month going to commission that factory for sleepers.
For rail sleepers.
Yes.
And what has happened is that in 1988...
So maybe he meant 2023 I will be doing it.
In 1988, we had trains that functioned in 1988. Today, we don't have trains. So really, basically, if we want to invest in our infrastructure, if we want to invest, it's about manufacturing, because it's about exports. One of the most important elements for this is infrastructure. The next, of course, is technology. And then, of course, third is primarily finance. But if in infrastructure, in Uganda, because we speak to ourselves Uganda, and bring the African perspective, within the last 35 years, we had trains that rolled from Kampala to my Tororo, from Tororo, you know, and then from Tororo to Pakwach. Today, none of those trains exist. We had public service buses because this infrastructure. Those buses don't exist. We had Uganda Airlines, public. It died.
Now it is existing.
It has re-existed. And today, because we're talking skills and I'm talking to young people very specifically and Africans watching, we have Uganda Airlines whose top executive, whose head, in appointment, it was controversial and hit the headlines. But that Uganda Airlines, they don't include Uganda, the airstrip in Tororo, which used to have domestic flights. So as a Cheno, if I'm caught up by traffic, I could be able to jump on a flight to Tororo. These are the issues. Where then does America come in? Now, if this is Uganda, I don't know what's happening in Congo, broadening the whole thing. I don't know what's happening in Zambia. But I've been to Zambia recently, and I see the Zambia of today is fundamentally different from the Zambia of 10, 15 years ago when it comes to infrastructure. It has changed. Now, AGOA. Why did these guys change their positions? It's very clear. You ask, is it politics or human rights or interest? I can tell you it's a combination of both. It's very clearly the case that in the year 2000, political parties were banned in Uganda. It was very clear the case that in the year 2000, there was wars in northern Uganda and people were living in concentration camps. So you could actually argue that the year 2000 and the year 2023, you know, possibly we are living in a much better position. Arguably, you know, argument say, you know. So is it there for human rights abuses? No. It's basically your political interests. I have suggested that the one thing that the US picked was the question of LGBT. I also know, as a Pan-Africanist, that this is a conversation that the US president had with other African leaders. It may include President Museveni, I don't know what I can say. You know, but in these conversations, quite clearly, you know, there's opportunity to take a particular line. That line was not taken. The result, anyway, is that the US decided to knock off AGOA. But there's something that AGOA did to this country. In the early 2000s, AGOA plant was in the coffee plant in Bugolobi. I don't know how many of you guys know the coffee plant in Bugolobi, in the industrial area. In the industrial area, there's some nice shiny buildings now look small, but used to be very big when you see those days when Now, that was the coffee marketing plant, which was built for Uganda's coffee at the time when Uganda's coffee, our coffee was not only leading export, but that plant, when it was built in the 60s, it was the second largest coffee plant in the world after one in Brazil, because Brazil produces a lot of coffee. When AGOA came, instead of setting up an AGOA program in a very organized way elsewhere, it was set at a coffee plant which had been destroyed. So clearly, meaning the starting position for AGOA was very likely that it was a false start. It was unlikely that it was going to be as successfully as it would be. But that said, I reject the idea that we can all pretend that we do not need AGOA. Because somewhere, however much challenges we can talk about, however much you can ask me, Ochiendo, to tell you which industry, which factory, which owners, which Ugandan indigenous owners have benefited from this, and I may not be able to tell you. I know that there are some Ugandans who own these spaces. I know there are some Ugandans who work in these spaces. And if their need is not hitting, and I know some people dismiss this, the fact that, well, a few $1 million. No, $1 million is a lot of money for most Ugandans. So really, it is a lost opportunity from our perspective. But the point, though, is this. Is it the end of the world? No, it's not. When I say AGOA is not the end of the world, does not mean that I'm saying that we should forget about AGOA. I am simply trying to say that, well, there was life before AGOA. AGOA is an opportunity that we should really have embraced and made the best use of it, but we did not. Now, broadly as a continent, should we be focusing on the privilege of the US, France, Britain giving us tax rebates in order for us to allow for us average competitiveness? Yes and no. Yes, because part of the challenges we face has been the result of the exploitations, marginalization, and blockages of their markets. So for that reason, they have an obligation to give us that space. The no element is not that they shouldn't. The no element is that what is it that we are doing? What is it that we are producing comparatively, that we are not able to sell to this case? In this case, then, if that's the case, in America, AGOA was neither here nor there. In my case, I would suggest that Africa, as Pan-Africanists, we need to focus on leadership on this continent, leadership which are people-centered, leadership that invests on this continent. And what do they need to invest on? We need to invest on our people, that is investing hugely on education. We need to begin to invest in our health. We need to treble our education education. We need to invest in our infrastructure, particularly. We need to invest in innovation. We need to invest in skills. We need to invest in our energy sector.
So on this particular aspect, do you agree with Museveni that instead of me accepting your ideology on homosexuality, I would rather say, please stop your AGOA?
No, I'm telling you that both politically and factually is correct. Mr. Museveni was seeking to dare the Americans on the one state, but also on the other, he was actually trying to play public opinion in Uganda.
But, Senior, when America is passing its laws in America, why don't we Uganda feel like they are daring us?
That is one.
Why does America feel we are daring them?
I think you're very right. And that's one of the reasons why, for me, both politically in my life and politically throughout my life, and my political activism life, I have sought that we should have African governments, African leadership, African political leaders, African masses, where we mobilize and organize and make sure that we have governments and systems in place that have got the capacity to say no to America. Yes. The thing is, we cannot pick and choose when to concede and to agree with Americans. That is really my bottom line, and in fact, that is where I was going to. So the point was, therefore, are we really Africans when some of the leaders we were talking to about, when it's convenient for them, they actually serve the Anglo-American interest at the expense of the ordinary people? No.
I wanted to hear from you. Yes. If you were in power now, if UPC was in government, yes, and this happened, how would UPC handle it?
On the basis of what I know, and the basis of what happened, there are conversations by leaders, and Mr. Museveni opted to take the line that he did take for basically political reasons. As far as I'm concerned, I believe that leaders in this country are elected to serve the interests of this country. UPC1 did serve this country excellently, and I don't know when the next other government will be near to it. UPC2 served this country excellently. I don't know when the next is going to do. On the basis of the current government's on-track record, I actually don't know what I can pick on them which can be traded as genuinely Pan-Africanist. Because I had issues when we invaded Rwanda, I had issues when we invaded Burundi, I had issues when we invaded Congo, I had issues when we were being used in South Sudan, although I supported
being used or
absolutely. And I was very, very clear that I took exception that Ugandan boys and girls were taken to Somalia to go and die on behalf of Anglo-American interests.
Free your mind now. Be part of People's Pan-African Parliament.
We've been poisoned by something really powerful. A lot of us don't realize it because it's mind poisoning. You know, it's not body poisoning, but our mind is poisoned. Our mind is poisoned by one single poison that we're going to call here neoliberalism. Okay? Mr. Museveni was the champions. His Excellence, Mr. Museveni, was the champions of neoliberalism. And I'm not mad at him for that. He was a real revolutionary at his time. If you read every of his book, you can see that man is a socialist. But then you arrive in power, socialism is falling. What else is there? Is this idea of neoliberalism, this idea that when you come with a lot of money, investors will invest, create jobs, and in return you will export those goods and everything is going to be perfect. Since how long are you in that miracle? It's time to look at it in the eyes. And when we say we can't do it again, I say we cannot. Under the current economic circumstances, we cannot under the current economic framework. That is not going to work. And I'm not even saying that for the future. I say that for today. It is not working. If an American come with $10 million in Uganda, what is it for? Do you think it's for you to be dressed better? Is that for you to drink better water? Is it for you to take like the best road? No. He come with $10 million, so in 10 years he live with 12 or 15. That is the only single reality behind neoliberalism. All the rest is bullshit to brainwash you. Okay? When they come with money, they come to take more money. Simple. Fact. So we have this machine that is braining our wash and that tell us no. The economy that we do, we need FDI, we need investors to come and tell us like the way, what. No. What we need is to look back at history so we know what we did. And thanks for our comrade here, it reminds us we were capable in this country to do a lot of things and we are not capable to do it anymore. We are not capable to do it anymore. Stop. Full point. And yes, maybe we can do it in the future, but not under the current economic condition. Not if we beg an American and a Chinese to open the factories so we can export them their shoes. No. We need to redirect our economy towards ourselves, be centered, and Museveni has achieved a lot of that, thanks to him. But when it comes to export, we should really be careful of what we say. Because all of this is an ideology, and it comes from the Second World War.
You are saying after the Second World War,
yes, Europe is destroyed.
There was a plan that Europe must be rebuilt.
Europe must be saved, because otherwise it will become communist. All what I'm saying is that it needed to be rebuilt, otherwise Stalin would have taken it. Stalin wanted Western Europe. He took all Eastern Europe, right? He wanted Western Europe. Why is that important? Because Americans changed their paradigm at that time, and we're still living in the same stupid paradigm. They say we deliver money, we drop money to Europe, we rebuild Europe, because a Europe that is rebuilt is a Europe that will trade. And the Europe that trade is a Europe in peace. Because when we trade, we establish peace. That's the idea. 1945, that's what they start thinking. Until today, we live in this idea. Trade leads to development, development leads to stability, stability, peace, all of this comes together. It is not true. It is not true. Total is coming in this country with how many billions of dollars to build a pipeline and the whatever.
Region.
How many billions of dollars? Does it mean we have more peace? Does it mean the rebel groups in Congo are stopping and say, I know, like now there's 50 billions on the table, we stop? No. It's not like this, but Americans want to make us think like this. Because they think that way. They think trade leads to better condition of living for everyone. In this continent, we've seen trade. We have had all those FDI. We have had the Chinese coming, the Indians coming. I was looking at the numbers. China, 1.5 billion. EAU, 1 billion. A lot of people came with money, that's for sure. They have the money per year. This is the numbers per year. They came with the money, they invested it. What do we see? We see education. The education system, the public education system in Uganda is way much worse than it was in the 60s. Now the AGOA is one of the tools. And today we're seeing clearly, us we want homosexual to be criminalized, and Americans say no, we don't give you the money. So it's clear. Even asking the question, is it a tool of imperialism, blah, blah, blah. Yes, we know. End of the question. We can move next. What does it mean for state of affairs? That the US can decide to withdraw whenever they want. We know. We know. Because we are Pan-African. We know they're not here for our good. They're here for their own good, as you were saying. And so in that ideology, we should not let them come in. We should not let them come in and decide whatever they go withdraw or don't withdraw. We don't care. The truth is, the AGOA is weak. They will not tell you that. They will not go and say on TV, AGOA is weak. But it is. The Chinese are making much, much more. EAU is making much, much more. European Union, I'm not so sure. I didn't find the numbers. But what I know is that every single powers can find his own way in Uganda without an AGOA trade deal. Even America want to come back tomorrow, they can. The legal system in Uganda allow them to come back tomorrow in the condition they're looking for. Because they are the one that draw like the economic framework that Uganda is using. And not just Uganda. South Africa is making the same mistake. Kenya is full on into the highway right now thanks to Ruto. They all think
Kenya is on a highway.
Kenya is in the highway for neoliberalism. Highway of, yeah, it's terrible for the Kenyans, but right now they feel they enjoy it. But that's not the truth. It's gonna come and beat hard. The reality is that neoliberalism produced the exact same result in every country it's been implemented. Whatever, South Africa, USA, France. It creates a large amount of poor and an infinite minority of rich people. And we can see it in Uganda. I'm sure if we describe the Uganda of the 60s and the Uganda that we have today, we do have a lot of rich people, way richer than at the time, but are they brighter? No. Is there any correlation with the intelligent and their money? No. Why? Because neoliberalism privilege the greedy and the dumb. Let me say it clear. So no, we cannot do it again because we've been poisoned. And that's the problem. Until we retract the poison and we ask ourselves, what is our national priority? Then we won't succeed. We need our national priority to be potent, and we need to say, because it's our national priority, it will be done by Ugandans. Trained by foreigners if you want, whatever, but in Uganda we want A, B, C, D. We want shoes for everyone. We want education for everyone. We want, I don't know, but whatever education, health system, right, for everyone, like it was before. It is possible. If the state invests the money and stop lying to himself and say that someone in the private sector is going to do it better than him. It's not because I come with $1 billion in Uganda that I'm going to build the most efficient hospital. That is not true. Because if I want to make money outside of that hospital, then that hospital might become not so efficient anymore. Because some law inside has changed. Some sort of DNA change, right? So we think we have the same institution because we have a beautiful clinic or a beautiful hospital, but it's not nothing beautiful here. What is beautiful is when the country organizes itself to deliver what he wants. And that's where you get the play.
Mr. Isafi.
Yes.
Uganda took about some good years and a lot of initiatives, including Ugandans here, the delegation from Uganda traveled to America to go and benchmark on their AGOA and so on. It took Biden 1 minute, stroke of a pen signing to cancel the contract. You see that? That you have taken years to commit as countries between America and Uganda and Niger and so on. It took just a minute for Biden to say, because you have enacted a law against LGBTQ, I am cancelling this. And there is nobody he consulted in Uganda. Simply cancelled. Why does America do that? It's fine.
You see,
but Uganda cannot do that.
You see, like the same way that a husband and a wife, right? Now the wife is cooking for the husband every day for 5 years. And then suddenly he get back home and he said, I found a better restaurant there. I'm stopped eating here. How does the wife feel? She feels betrayed, right? Yeah. But why did she trust the man at the first point? Why is it that we trust the US? Even in the 2000, I'm sorry, sir, maybe I don't know, in the 2000, it was another time we used to believe the US are right. Maybe, I don't know, I don't know. I think we have been listening to them too much. You can't listen to an American to criticize America. That's not true. That's not true. I'm not saying listen to a Chinese or a Russian. I'm saying listen to everyone.
Free your mind now. Be part of People's Pan-African Parliament.
Mr. Speaker, when you put an animal in a cage, and tomorrow the animal breaks it, do you think the owner of the cage will be happy with an animal?
No. You'll be angry.
This is exactly what is happening.
Hey.
LGP 2 something is a weapon. Is a weapon. Whoever is against the weapon must face all what you are saying, or what you are seeing. It's a weapon. Now, Mr. Speaker, the countries that have been so-called removed, countries like Niger, most of these countries that have been removed, apart from Uganda, they are French colonies. But look at the colonial pacts they have with France. Niger has an agreement with France to supply uranium 85%.
Niger.
Most of the cities in France, the light, the power they have, it's coming from uranium from Niger. Now the current government in Niger is reversing the agreement. So in Central Africa, Mali it happened. Mr. Speaker, you are expecting even more embargoes. You know, people here, when they gave a flag in 1962, some of you thought these guys are now sleeping. They have never been sleeping. For 1986, Uganda had only 75 factories, industries. We have now more than 5,000 industries with over 100 industrial hubs. Mr. Speaker, East Africa has a population of almost 500 million people. America has almost 400 million people. You get it? Now, East Africa. Why bother with the population of America when you have enough market in the region? Why bother? The East African population actually contributes about 6.03% of the global population. Africa has a population of 1.216 billion people. Why can't you open up business opportunities with other Africans? Actually, I want, by the way, through other members, clap for African leaders who have removed visa for all African members.
Rwanda is number one?
Yes. Ruto, by December. Kagame, same. This is what we want. Before you think about a person in 1,000 kilometers, think about your neighbor. Trade with your neighbor. We used to have intern extra trade, you know. What went wrong with? Why should you think of about a person who is in 1,000 kilometers, who does not even wish you well? Who does not even wish you well? Let me tell you, I always remind Ugandans, if Uganda can concentrate on agricultural products alone, and we have agro-processing industry in this country, we can feed the whole world. This is the way to go. If you fail to trade with me, I will produce the best quality, then it will force you to come to me. Why bother these guys that AGOA, you have been removed, removed from what? Uganda is an independent country. It's an African state. We don't care.
Hey, Kashaya, you care.
About what?
We have lost so far 174 million US dollars probably.
I wish you could know how much they have rooted from Africa. I wish you could know. I wish you could know how much the materials they are rooting from Africa, including Uganda. Tons and tons of minerals coming from Africa.
Actually, the other day I saw a drone, a UN drone in Congo.
Yes.
It fell down and to check they found gold full inside the drone.
Yes.
The drone of UN.
Even the 2017, the richest man in USA came to Congo. You know Bill Gates. This man, he came to Congo.
In my street, there's people staying.
And they do not even question his. Anyway, I don't want to go in those personal issues. But Mr. Speaker, sir, my issue now is, if a country in 30 years had 85 industries, now we have 5,000 industries with over 100 industrial parks, with a political and security stability in the entire country, with a very good what we call foreign policy. What stops you from trading with other African partners? Why can't you concentrate on Africa before you even think? Because you see, there are many things. For instance, in the Middle East, the other time I was talking to some people in Dubai, they are lacking fresh fruits. And we have many here. If you go here in the market, almost free, you can get free fruit here. Fruits are for free here. But there is market in the Middle East. So we need really to think about how we can generate the money from ourselves than relying on the imperials. Lastly, on the issue of LGDP, let me tell you this. Like the way we had Corona, like the way we had AIDS, some of these things are patented.
Like the way we have, not we had. We still have AIDS. Okay.
They are patented.
It means it is somebody's business, somebody manufactures.
Some scientists will tell you that some of these things, they are weapons to finish you. If you make a weapon to finish your weapon, I mean your enemy, and your enemy, by the way, let me tell you this. You see, the courage we have to speak about this, Africa has woken up. And you can clap for that. Africa has realized that we have suffered enough. This is the time now the imperialists pay the price. And we are saying no to homosexuality. Whether AGOA is here or not, we are saying no to homosexuality. Whether the World Bank has withdrawn or not, we are saying no to imperialism. And we shall continue fighting for liberty. We shall continue fighting for those who are against us.
Thank you so much.
Free your mind now. Be part of People's Pan-African Parliament.
A country called America, a people who by 1773, 1776, around there, had invaded the present-day America and killed the natives.
When was that?
Around 1773, 1770, when they were declaring themselves as the independent state and the land of the free. They had
they killed
virtually eliminated all the natives.
The Red Indians.
Whom they derogatorily refer to as the Red Indians. Those are natives of America. There's nothing red about them. They are the original Americans. So the present day Americans systematically eliminated them. These very Americans that we're talking about, who threw a bomb atomic in Nagasaki and Hiroshima, whose impact is still being felt.
You're talking about Japan now.
The same group of people, the Americans, who, if my statistics serve me right, have virtually participated in all the world coups, destabilized global economies, created after the Second World War, the so-called World Bank, which in effect is the Washington Bank, participated in one way or another in the slave trade because they were being exported to the Americas, who have designed the system where the so-called African Americans, who are actually Americans, if you like, because they have as much a right as those who claim they are more Americans than them, a system which discriminates them on health, housing structure, education, among others, cannot be, therefore, asked and us getting worried as to why all of a sudden they can simply, by a stroke of a pen, get out of just a simple agreement, which they called an opportunity, called or named AGOA. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to submit, therefore, that the cancellation or the threat to cancel the AGOA is yet another signature of imperialism, and that's what America is good at. I want also to submit that in the presence of the Bretton Woods institutions, which are the World Bank and the IMF, institutions which were designed to perpetuate the unfair flow of resources from the south to the north, it does not surprise me that a simple so-called opportunity like AGOA can simply be put in the trash. I want to submit that we have never had any trade to speak of. What America and her cousin, the Europeans, pride in is to give us the so-called donations, which donations, majority of it is actually what they steal from us.
From Africa.
Otherwise, how do you explain that
They steal $10 billion.
our own trade,
Bring a ball.
and they create a situation whereby our own trade amongst ourselves, the African intra-trade, which has now seemingly seen some light at an average of 27%, as compared to the European intra-trade, which is averages 70%, and in the same category, that one of Asia. Are you therefore surprised that something to do with a simple agreement like AGOA can be simply terminated under flimsy excuses such as human rights record? Mr. Speaker, sir, I do not want to go into the human rights record of America, but it is my considered opinion, and very correct at that, that the greatest abuser of human rights is none other than America.
America houses the United Nations peacekeeping mission.
Mr. Speaker, sir,
Peacekeepers.
I want to
How can you allege?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to further submit that it does not matter who the African president is, whether you're in Botswana, whether you're in Tanzania, as long as the blueprint, the American and European blueprint is being implemented, the policies of the Bretton Woods institutions are being implemented in your country, they will be at peace with you. Those who resisted, right from our great-grandfathers, they will say Jeffo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the Amilcar Cabral, the Ben Beras, the Thomas Sankaras, the Patrice Lumumbas were all eliminated. Those who were not eliminated, their governments were overthrown. If you doubt me, look at the classified information of CIA throughout the ages. I further submit that it also equally does not matter who is in the White House, whether it is a Republican, whether it is a so-called Democrat, as long as the foreign policy fits the American interests, they will go ahead and implement it.
For Republican, you said Republican. When it came to Democracy, you said you added the so-called.
Both of them are the same. It is in that light, therefore, Mr. Speaker, that the AGOA, much as any other agreements, if you like, or the opportunities that have been extended to Africa, can at ease be cancelled and life will continue. It therefore equally means that the contribution of individual presidents, whether that president is Yoweri Museveni, whether that president is Muammar Gaddafi, whether it is Chiruba, whether it is Geres Kaunda, whether it is Pombe Magufuli, they will have a limit as to how much they can achieve. Should therefore situation warrant their removal or even direct assassination, it will happen. My proposal, like I have always done before, is that we now, like we did during the physical overthrow of colonialism, we must regenerate and have another reparation whereby the overthrow of imperialism, this is a good starting point. To realize and speak about the problem, whether that will take us another generation for us to achieve results, so be it. But we are on the right track. I thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
Free your mind now. Be part of People's Pan-African Parliament.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Africa has a story. This story is not tied to race theory. Like many now have changed it. It has become more a story of race theory than a story of human character. The last time someone from Toro heard about AGOA is when George W. Bush was talking about it. The last time is the ordinary person heard about it is when Joe Biden is closing it. In the entire region, you listen to the position, sir. This is an official position. In the entire region, there's only one beneficiary, suppose, which is the lady who was doing some kind of crafts. What was the problem? I think AGOA was given to us prematurely. AGOA was given to us when the cooperative movement had broken down. So was there any really produce to take to America? Okay. AGOA came in when, of course, these industrial hubs were not. These industrial hubs are going to be very beneficial and very important, but they were not there. There is the program also called PACE AID, Presidential Initiative, led by Mr.
Led by Rabo.
Exactly. It's a good program that is going into countries looking for markets. Let me tell you, in economics and commerce, in capitalist economics, markets are determined by demand and supply.
Yes.
Need drives everything. These things you see, political things of seeing Joe Biden go to the podium and say, I've cancelled AGOA, those things, they don't apply. But what I'm telling you, we got a program when we didn't have trade infrastructure.
AGOA.
Exactly. So this program, closing it and not closing it, does not benefit. Because our government has a simple problem. Someone is given a program and he thinks, thinks with nepotism. He encircles the program, but thinks about himself, how he can be the person buying from others and then exporting to America under a framework called AGOA because he has political power or is associated to power.
So if we have to stop looking at people with biases and embrace meritocracy, and that is our official position, in all the regions and the programs of government, then we can be able to penetrate these markets. For example, I want to assert my position to everyone who is seeing it and everyone who is talking, for example, to Mr. Audrey Ruabogo, and this message goes to him. The only way he will stand to pacify the program he did, the only way it will become very unique, remarkable,
And successful?
successful, and really loved by many Ugandans if you, Audrey Ruabogo, will embrace meritocracy in how people bring up products from all the corners of the country, studying their comparative advantages, developing them effectively, genuinely looking for markets without embracing your own personal desires. If it may have one or two, it's okay, you're a human being, but entirely looking on how that program will really create a supply chain right from the grassroots, as even the presidential hubs help in value addition. So we can really make it through the free market principles, but only if we use the guided trade initiative under AFTA, looking, for example, at what does Algeria want most, what does Egypt want most, what does DR Congo want most, what does Kenya want most, Tanzania, like that, and that specifically is what we produce and maximize on it and take it there. But for now, I don't think AGOA we have really made any loss in it. I don't, because after all, we really didn't benefit anything in it. Thank you.
Free your mind now. Be part of People's Pan-African Parliament.
Chair, I want in a special way start by thanking His Excellency the President.
What has he done this time?
For his stand against the
America's pressure.
The insults that were put to us by the Biden administration. Mr. Chair, I do not know why the Biden administration is playing the politics of chicken belonging to a drunkard.
Politics play. Politics of chicken.
Chicken that belongs to a drunkard.
Hey.
It's like to stay. It's unnecessary.
Depends on the drunkard.
It depends on the mass of the drunkard. So that is the politics that we are in. And I want to assure the US government to specifically stop this. Because Uganda is a country, is a sovereign country. We very much know that the African states are very rich in natural resources. And there is no country which is specifically self-reliant or independent, whether in trade, whether in politics, whether in socio-economic, all that. Each country depends on another.
Interdependent.
We are interdependent, whether we are a poor country, because someone may think that no, but Uganda is a poor country. It's one of the least developed countries. How can we be trading with? But we have resources that America needs from us. And that's why they don't, when they're establishing their own, probably their own factories, they look for resources. That's why there was that kind of, that scramble for Africa, for the resources that are in the Congo.
That's why during colonialism there was a train was built from Kasese up to the coast. It was to their advantage to transport raw materials to their factory.
Exactly.
They were not doing us a favor to put it there. No, it was strategically for them.
Specifically that. So the Biden administration to make a decision to remove Uganda from AGOA is a very dubious and unfortunate decision. And therefore, Mr. Chair, the dubiousity of this decision is likely to pose very grave implications on Uganda's trade landscape with the US. Remember, I've told you that there's no country which is economically independent. we need each other. Our fresh fruits, our fresh coffee, which the US may not have, they need this coffee. So, when we look at the contribution of AGOA in regard to Uganda, first of all, about 50 companies, though has a significant impact on Uganda's market potentials. Because when you look at the total exports of Uganda, it takes about 5.7 billion US dollars. Now, out of the 5.7 billion US dollars, now AGOA takes only 10.6 million. Now, that is very insignificant figure. Very insignificant compared to 5.4 billion. Now, that means whether we have AGOA or we don't have, it's very insignificant.
That's why your president said
exactly. It's like going for a fundraising. You are fundraising for my wedding. I've made a budget of 200 million. Then you give me 200,000. Yes, you have made a contribution, but
yes,
it is very insignificant. It cannot command.
Yes,
that is how the nature of AGOA. So when we are looking at issues of AGOA, then you bring in human rights issues. I believe it's just derailing us from the point. Mr. Chair, you asked us about the implications. First of all, this has taught us as a country, Uganda, that there is a need to diversify our trade relations and engage in a robust
with Russia and China
trade with various partners beyond AGOA. Because we have other countries like Russia, as you've said, China, even within the East African community, ourselves, within here. Then we have COMESA. It is upon us now to develop. Because I will give you an example. Rwanda, Uganda needed to borrow relief from Rwanda. Because Rwanda was also at one time suspended from AGOA.
And they lived their life.
And when US suspended Rwanda, the Rwandan government introduced supportive measures, such as investment incentives, infrastructure development, and capacity building to encourage local textile industries. And this is what we need also. As we talk now, there has been increased local production in Rwanda, employment opportunities, which are very, very vital in economic development in the post-AGOA era.
Thank you so
Therefore,
much.
For us, if we are to follow or to borrow a leaf from Rwanda, we need also to take our route because we have what it takes to develop this country.
Free your mind now. Be part of People's Pan-African Parliament.
Mr. Speaker, AGOA, like other institutions such as World Bank, IMF, CHOGAM, the Commonwealth, all those institutions are really colonial institutions. And people have to understand this clearly. These are colonial institutions which are promoting the interests of colonialism and neocolonialism and imperialism. Therefore, Ugandans have to understand this. And when you try to see clearly under AGOA, really, it is not true that in that business deal, Ugandans have not made any progress like other African countries. In fact, there are these colonialists who have been benefiting from us. They come here, they pretend to be trading with us, and yet they have other interests. For example, looting and exploiting our resources. Like, see what is taking place in DRC Congo. See what is taking place in Niger. Yeah, in Niger. They are just buying the minerals at a very low price, and then they bring back the finished products and sell to us expensively.
Free your mind now. Be part of People's Pan-African Parliament.
We need to do our own. We have failed to put value addition on our product. Let us unite. Let us get rid of sectarianism. Let us just be one. We failed all the other things. Now let us just be one. Why is it just being one and seeing every African as a brother and a sister? And then move this. I've seen many people put it on leaders. Leaders have a key role in this. But citizens as well, we have a key role. If we do not put this to end, if we don't put an affirmative action, then words are meaningless, because even the devil can quote from scriptures.
Free your mind now. Be part of People's Pan-African Parliament.
We as Pan-Africanists, united we stand, and disunited we fall. We must turn these setbacks into an opportunity. Let us assess our trademarks. Let us assess our trade strategies and stand together and shape a future where Africa's trade is heard and respected globally.
Free your mind now. Be part of People's Pan-African Parliament.
Ladies and gentlemen, we Africans have actually given a leeway to the rest of the world to always come here. They call a press conference and announce, we are allowing Uganda to benefit from AGOA. We clap hands. Tomorrow Biden is cancelling the offer. They call them offers actually. These are not deals that we sit down, win-win situation. They don't believe. That's why they are saying offers. We are offering you. You are no fun. You are poor. You are third world. So at one time, they sat down and said, let's offer them. They offered that AGOA. Now they've said, let's withdraw. Nobody's saying, please, you cannot take it. Because by law, we need to have discussed this and agreed on the exit point. No, they have decided to go. They are going. Tomorrow another one is going to come and do the same. But a right for the minority supersedes the right for the majority. You get the point? The people that were killed in Kayunga and Kasese and all these atrocities that we have seen, they belong to the majority group. But the minority group, we did not give them this name. They gave it to themselves. They said we are minority. Who told them? Themselves. It means they know they are small. Why are they small? Because the ideology is wrong. But Biden is capable of stopping a program for the majority in the interest of the minority. What are you doing, Africans? You are simply saying it is okay. Now the best, fight back that President Museveni could say is simple. Those people think we cannot live without them. It's okay, they can go. That's the best that you can do. That's the best that you can do. Why don't you also start considering cancelling some of these contracts that benefit America without necessarily benefiting Uganda? Why? The issue is you still believe you are third world, they are first world. Okay, let's live there. Thank you so much.
Free your mind now. Be part of People's Pan-African Parliament, the Pan-African Pyramid Debate with your speaker, Andrew Irumba Katusa.